Hello and welcome back to the Magnus Carlsen Chess 2 finals, and it's a big day for Magnus Carlsen. He has to win at any cost to stay in the hunt for the title, and I got to know that Magnus just got hurt minutes before the starting of the crucial 6-setter. So let's hope for the best and expect a good fight from the world champion. So it's Hikaru leading the finals. If he wins the set, then he will be adjudged the champion. He can win the championship. So now, without further ado, let's take a look at game 1 from the 6th set. So playing with the white pieces, Carlsen goes for d4. Unlike the e4 games he played, he came very well prepared, so it's a must-win situation for Carlsen. So knight to f6 replies Hikaru, and c4 and e6. Now knight to c3 and bishop to b4. We are now having an insolent defense game on the board. So e3 and Hikaru castles on the king side. Now bishop to d3. Now c5 and knight to e2, further continuing with the development. And now d5. Now a3 and bishop takes c3 with a check and b into c3. Now d takes c4 and bishop takes c4. Now queen to c7 and bishop goes to a2, and now b6, and Carlsen castles on the king side. Now bishop to a6 and bishop to b2. Now knight to c6 and then a rook to c1 by Carlsen, preparing for pawn push. And now rook a to c8. Here Hikaru also consolidating his position on the c file. So now, as expected, c4 by Carlsen, and c takes d4 and e takes d4. Carlsen trying to capture the center. Hikaru here expect Carlsen to play c5, so he moves his queen to a safer square. He plays queen to e7. Now d5 plays Carlsen, and e takes d5. Here Carlsen goes for rook to e1 rather than taking the pawn on d5. So here Hikaru goes for bishop into c4 and knight to g3, attacking the queen. So queen goes to d8 and bishop to b1, preparing for an attack on the king side. Now b5 by Hikaru. Now knight to f5. So here Hikaru's knight on c6 cannot move because of a knight to e7 check, and then Carlsen can win a rook. So in reply to knight to f5, Hikaru plays a d4 and queen to d2. Carlsen is preparing for queen to g5. So bishop to e6, attacking knight. So bishop to e6 and a rook to c5, attacking the pawn. So a6 comes in support, and then Carlsen here plays a wonderful tactical move. So he plays knight into g7 and king into g7, and as expected, queen to g5 check. So now the only move Hikaru can play here is king to h8 and queen to h4. Here Hikaru's knight on f6 cannot move because of queen into h7 checkmate threat. So now rook to g8 plays Hikaru, trying to get an initiative. He get an open rook file. So now Carlsen yet again goes for another tactical move, and he takes the knight on c6 with a rook into c6 and a rook into c6. Now bishop into d4, putting more pressure on the f6 knight. So now king to g7 comes in support of the knight. Here what I feel is that king to g7 was not a good move, because queen to g5 and then Hikaru will lose this knight on f6. So after king to g7, Carlsen goes for queen into h7 check. A brilliant one, because here Hikaru cannot take the queen on h7. So after queen into h7 check, Hikaru plays king to f8, and now queen to h6 check and king to e8. Now bishop into f6. Carlsen wins the knight on f6 ultimately, and now queen to a5 attacking the rook on e1. So now Carlsen plays queen to e3, comes in support of the e1 rook. So after that, queen to b6. Here Hikaru is offering a queen trade, which Carlsen is not interested, so he plays a rook to d1 instead, going for rook to d8 check. So here Hikaru plays rook to d6, stopping rook to d8. Now bishop to d4 attacking the queen. Now queen goes to c6. Now bishop to e4. Carlsen here holding Hikaru's queen. Hikaru plays queen to c4, and now h3. Here Carlsen preparing to place his king on a safer square. So after h3, Hikaru plays king to d7, bringing the king into the game. Now rook to d2 and rook to e8, preparing for a bishop to d5 and put more pressure on the e4 bishop. So king to h2, moving the king to a safer square. So now bishop to d5 as expected, and bishop to f5 check. Now bishop to e6 and bishop to d3 attacking the queen. So now queen goes to a4. Here the position clearly favors Carlsen. So after queen to a4, bishop to e5 attacking the rook. And also here Carlsen is having another brilliant idea by playing b to e5. So rook to d5 replies. So rook to d5 replies Hikaru, and here comes the brilliant move, and that is queen to a7 check. So it was in this position on move 41 Hikaru resigned the game. Only Hikaru can play either king to d8 or king to c8, but both ways queen to c7 is checkmate. So it was a wonderful tactical victory for Carlsen. He won the game on demand. So let's see what the other matches is having in store. Anyhow, Carlsen has to win the set to force the set 7 to be played. So hope you all enjoyed the game. Stay tuned for more action from the Magnus Carlsen Chess 2 finals, and thank you.